Hi loves, welcome back once again to my YouTube channel. My name is Usetali. So today's tutorial video is a continuation from the last video that I shared with you guys. So in my last video, I shared with you guys how to go about drafting the pattern for the making of this dress. So today's video is going to be all about the sewing tutorial. So if you're interested in seeing how I make this dress, keep on watching, subscribe to the channel, and let's get started. Welcome back guys. If you missed the video on how I drafted out this pattern, please use the link you're seeing on the screen right now to watch it, or you can follow the link in the description box to watch it later. But I would advise that you watch that video before you come to watch this one, because you need to know how to cut it before sewing. So I'll just explain now what I have on the table. So this is the center front piece. I cut it on fold, as you can see, and I cut two pieces of it, both for the actual fabric and the lining pieces, and I added half inch to all the sides. So for the end here, I added 1.5 inches for the sewing allowance. Then for the side front, I also cut for both the actual fabric and the lining pieces. So I cut 4 pieces. Two is going to be for the actual fabric and two for the lining pieces, and I added all the half-inch sewing allowances. And for the end here, I added 1.5, and I also added 1.5 inches for the sewing allowance at the side. Okay, so that was it for the front part, and I did the same thing to the back pieces. I cut for both the actual fabric and the lining pieces as well. This is the center back and this is the side back. I have 4 pieces, two for the actual fabric, two for the lining. I added all the half-inch sewing allowance. I didn't add zipper allowance because we already drafted it with zipper allowance. Okay, so here I also added 1.5 inches, and I notched the zipper mark. Okay, then for the side back, I also cut 4 pieces of it. One, two, three, four. Two for the actual fabric and two for the lining pieces. And I added all the half-inch sewing allowances and the 1.5 inches to the down part and the side. So that was how I cut them out. So this one here, I cut out this piece that is going to be for the belt. So what I have is, I have it to be 32 inches long, as you can see, and I have it to be about 3.5 inches wide. So I have two of it. It's going to be for the belt. Okay, now this last one is the one I'll be using for the gathers at the side. Okay, so you remember when we drafted it out, we cut out this pattern, so I slash and spread it and I use it to cut for the gathers for the side. Okay, so what I did is I cut it on fold, as you can see. I cut it on fold here, and I have two of it for the two sides, just like this. And I added half-inch sewing allowance to the end here. I was supposed to add 1.5 inches, just the same way that I did for the front and back pieces when I cut it. But because my fabric was not enough, I just have to add half-inch. I'll have to cut out 1 inch from the length of my fabric before I sew. So, and I spread it using 7 inches, as you can see. So guys, that was how I went ahead to cut out the piece that I'm going to be using for the gathers. So this is it for the cutting of all the pieces that we need. Now before I go ahead to start sewing, I'm just going to make a notch at the necessary places. So this underbust area of the center front, I will just make a notch on it just like this, and this is what you are going to have it to be looking like. I already make a notch at the beginning there. I will also make a notch at the underbust of the side front. So just place it together like this and make a notch on it as well. So these notches are going to guide us when we are joining it. You can see for the back pieces, so these are supposed to be, I don't need to make notch on it. You can see I can already identify where it starts from. So guys, this is it, and I already have my zipper notch. I already notched it. Now I'm just going to go ahead to remove my pattern paper just like this. Go ahead and remove your pins. Then after doing that, you're going to really line at the underbust area like this. Then you will make a notch on it. So that is it guys. Now remove your pattern paper. After you are done doing that to the side front, you also do the same thing to the center front. Now go ahead and remove your pattern paper of the center front. Then you're going to separate it. You're going to take one of the piece. You know, we have two, one for the actual fabric and one for the lining. So I'll just place one aside for the lining piece. Then I will start working on the actual fabric. Then for the side front, I will also take two pieces aside, which is going to be for the lining piece. Now I'm going to go ahead to mark the wrong face of my fabric so that I won't be confused while I'm working. Then after doing that, I will rule a line at the under bust area here. You can see I already made notches, so I'm just following the notches to rule a line there just like that. Then you're going to do the same thing to the center front, open it up and rule a line just like this. Okay, now for the back pieces, I'm also going to take away my pattern paper just like this. Then I will mark the wrong faces. Then after marking the wrong faces, I'm going to, separate it into twos. So one for the actual fabric and one for the lining piece. Now I'm going to mark where my zipper allowance starts from. I'm just making mark on it. Then you're going to connect the dots just like this. After doing that, you will do the same thing to the other piece that you're going to be using for the lining. Now I'm going to go ahead and place the lining piece aside. Then I'll also place the actual fabric aside. Now do the same thing to the side back. Go ahead and remove your pattern paper and you're going to mark all the wrong faces. So after marking it, you also place two pieces of it aside, which is going to serve as the lining pieces. So guys, this is it. This is what you're going to have. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to start, working on the front pieces. To do that, I'm going to be ironing hairstay to the front piece. I'm just going to iron hairstay to it to stop at the under bust area. Then I'll also do the same thing to the side pieces of the front. I'll just iron hairstay to it and make sure that it stops at the under bust area where I draw the line. Then I will do the same thing to the last piece. This is what I had after I was done ironing hairstay as I demonstrated, as you can see. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and join the sides together. So I'm just going to arrange it just like this. So now you place these two notches together, then you're going to pin it down. Now you will pin it all the way to the end, just the way you see me doing. Then after you are done pinning it, then you also pin the bust area like this. Then after you're done doing that, you will take this your sewing machine and you're just going to sew it using 1/2 inch, which is the joining allowance that you added. Okay, after doing it to that side, you will do the same thing to this other side here. This is what I had after I was done joining them together. As you can see, I also use my iron to iron it very flat. I open up the seam and I iron it flat. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and bring my ball. I'm going to be ironing the bust area. Then just open it on your ball like that. You're going to bring this piece of hairstay that I cut out. I'll place it on the bust area where I joined it. Then I'm going to iron it on it just like this. So just iron it on it to, make it really, really very flat. Then after you're done doing that, you do the same thing to the other side. So this is what you're going to have it looking like. Now go ahead and cut out all the excess hairstay that you do not need. So guys, this is what you're going to have after you're done doing that. Now the next thing I went ahead to do was to join my lining pieces just exactly the same way that I joined the actual fabric. Now I'm going to go ahead to place them together. I'm just going to open up my actual fabric on the table like this. This is the actual fabric. Then I'll place the lining piece on it. Make sure that the right sides are facing each other. Then you're going to go ahead and take it to your sewing machine. Then you will sew the neck together just like that. This is what you're going to have after you're done sewing the neck. So what I did is at this end here, I made notches on it and I top stitch it to the lining side. So that is what you're gonna do. So after you're done doing that, turn it to the right side and you're going to have it looking like this. You can see what I have. So this is it, guys. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and place this aside. Then I'll bring the back pieces. I'm going to be working on the actual fabric of the back pieces. I'm just going to place them on the table like this. Then I'll place the side back on it just the same way that they are corresponding to each other. So make sure to arrange it very well before you do that. So now I'm going to go ahead and place the two together, the side back with the center back. Then I'll take it to the sewing machine and sew. Then I'll do the same thing here, place the two together. Make sure that you are placing from this notch, okay? So place them together like that and sew it down. This is what you're going to have after you are done sewing. Can you see? So I also went ahead to, iron it flat. I ironed the seam flat just like that. Then after I was done doing that, I also sewed the lining pieces of the back just exactly the same way that I sewed the actual fabric. You can see. Now I'm going to go ahead and join the actual fabric and the lining pieces of the back together. So you're just going to place them together, making sure that the right sides are facing each other. Then you're going to go ahead and sew the neckline just like this. Then you will sew it all the way to the end like this. Then after doing that, you will do the same thing to the other pieces. This is what I had after I was done sewing. I flipped them to the right side and I ironed them out very well. This is what you're going to have it looking like. Now the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do now is to bring the front piece. I'll be joining the shoulders. Okay, now I'll just place the back piece on the front piece, making sure that the right sides are facing each other. Then I'll open up the shoulder of the front piece like this. I will also open up the shoulder of the back piece. Then I'm going to place it together. Make sure that where you joined it is aligning together. Then you're going to pin it down just the way you see me doing. Then after pinning, you take to your sewing machine and sew. Then you do the same thing here. This is what I had after I was done joining the shoulders together. So guys, this is what you're going to have it looking like. Can you see? So this is it. I did the same thing to the other side here. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to sew the armhole. It does not have a slip, so I'm just going to do an inner sewing to the armhole area. So to do that, you're just going to flip your fabric just like this to the wrong side. Can you see what I did? Then you're going to place this place where you join the shoulder together. Then you pin it down. You're going to pin it all the way to the other end. You also pin this other one to the other end like this. Then after you are done pinning, you're going to take it to your sewing machine and you're just going to sew it just like that. Then you're going to do exactly the same thing to the other armhole. So guys, this is what I have after I was done sewing the two armholes as I demonstrated. Now I'm going to make cuts on it. So I'll just use my scissors to cut it just the way you see me doing. If you don't cut it, when you flip it to the right side, it's not going to come out nice. So make sure to cut it, but don't cut the thread that you use in sewing it. Okay, so after I was done cutting, guys, this is it. Now I'm going to go ahead and flip it to the right side. To do that, I'm just going to bring it out. I'll bring out the back piece through the front piece. Okay, I don't know if you guys understand what I'm doing. I'm trying to bring out the back piece through the front area here. So this is it. You're just going to pull it out. It can be a bit difficult, but just take your time to do it. So guys, now I have successfully pulled the two out. So you can see what I have now. So now my fabric is flipped to the right side. Now I'm going to go ahead to iron it out very well. This is what I had after I was done ironing. You can see how clean it is looking like. So this is what you're going to have it looking like. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to sew the zipper allowance area. So I'm just going to place the two pieces together like this. Then I'm going to mark my neckline. So the neckline for the back is 8 inches wide, so divided by 2 I have 4 inches. I'm just going to mark my 4 inches like this. Then I will measure what I have remaining, so I will use that one to mark as my zipper allowance all the way to the end. Can you see? Then after doing that, just connect the dots together like this. Now after you're done doing that, I'm going to go ahead and measure where my zipper will be to. Then you're going to come down by about 18 or 19 inches for the zipper. So just mark it like that. Now from here to here is going to be for my zipper. And then I will join this side together. Then after joining, I will go ahead and fix my zipper to it. This is what you're going to have after you are done joining and fixing your zipper. You can see. So this is how it's going to look like. You can see I joined this area here. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to sew the actual fabric and the lining pieces together. I'm just going to take it to my sewing machine. I will just sew it together just like that. Then I will also do the same thing to the front piece. Okay, sew it just like that. Then after I'm done doing that, I'm going to sew the belt. So these are the pieces I'll be using for the belt. I'm just going to fold it together like this. Then I will sew it all the way to the end. Then I'll sew it like this. I'll also do the same thing here. Go ahead and sew your belt. So guys, this is what I had after I was done sewing the sides as I demonstrated. You can see. So I also did the same thing to the back piece. And after I was done sewing the belt, I flipped them to the right side and I ironed them out very well. So this is what I have. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to join the sides together. To do that, I'm just going to measure where my belt is going to be. So I'll just measure down to the waistline. Okay, So here is my waistline. So what I have is like about 1.5 inches. So I'm just going to mark it like that. Then I'll place my belt from that mark. So I'll just make sure that my belt is sitting on that mark. I'm going to go ahead and pin it down. Then after doing that, also mark your 1.5 inches here. Then you're going to place your belt. Make sure that the side where you sew it is facing down. Okay. So just place it from that mark that you made. Then you're also going to go ahead and pin it down. Then after you are done pinning, now you're going to flip your fabric to the wrong side, just like this. So make sure to put the belt inside. Okay. Then after you are done doing that, now you're going to join the sides. To do that, you're going to go ahead and take your round bust measurement divided by 2. You take your round under bust measurement divided by 2. You also take your round waist measurement divided by 2. Then you join. This is what I had after I was done joining, guys. You can see how it came out. So this is what you're going to have it looking like. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to attach the gathers. So this is the fabric for the gathers. I'm just going to go ahead and remove all the pattern papers. Now I'm going to first of all make a notch at the middle here. Okay. After making that mark, now the next thing I'm going to do is to make gathers on the fabric. To do that, I'm going to determine where the gathers is going to start from. Okay, so I want it to start from somewhere here. So I'm just going to go up on my fabric and I measured like 11 inches. So I want the gathers to start from 11 inches. Now on this fabric that I'm going to be using for the gathers, I'm just going to place it together like this. Then I'm going to measure up 11 inches. I'm going to make a notch where my 11 inches is, just like this. Now I'm going to take this fabric to the sewing machine. I'm going to be sewing 2 lines on it using loose stitches in order for me to create my ruffle. Okay, 2 loose lines on it. Then I'll do the same thing to the other one. This is what I had after I was done doing that. I left excess threads at the 2 ends that I'm going to be pulling to give it the gather effect. Now I'm going to bring my fabric. I'm going to go ahead and measure up the same 11 inches on my fabric, and I'm going to make a notch on it. After making that notch, I'm going to measure what I have from one notch all the way to the other notch. So after measuring, I had 18.5 inches. I'm going to make gathers on this fabric now to be 18.5 inches. Okay, so just go ahead and start pulling your threads from one end like this. So go ahead and create your gathers. So guys, I have a very detailed tutorial video on how to perfectly make gathers on this channel. In case you don't know how to perfectly make gathers, I'm going to be leaving the link to that video in the description box, so you can go ahead to watch it. Okay, so this is it. You can see I'm making my gathers just like this. Keep pulling your thread and expanding it, and you're going to have it looking like this. Then after I was done making gathers, I just measured it to be sure it's up to 18.5 inches, which is exactly what I want. Now I'm going to go ahead and tie up the threads at the 2 ends. Okay, so this is what you're going to have after doing that. I went ahead to do the same thing to the other piece, and I used my chalk to mark the middle. Okay, so I just marked the middle. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and attach it to my fabric. So to do that, you're just going to place the middle that you marked together with the side. Okay, make sure that the right sides are facing each other. Then you're going to place the middle mark with the side where you joined your fabric together, and you will pin it down. You're going to pin it all the way to the other end, just the way you see me doing. Then after you are done doing that, you also pin this other side to the other end as well. So guys, this is it. Then after you are done pinning, now you will take it to the sewing machine. You're just going to sew it down. Then you're going to do exactly the same thing to this other side. Guys, after I was done sewing it the first time exactly the way I demonstrated, I realized that the gathers did not come out nice. The side was not looking straight the way I wanted it to look. And I realized that the reason why that happened was because of the fact that I measured 11 inches before my gathers, which was too low. Okay, so I had to loosen it, loosen my gathers and everything, and I have to go up by 13 inches instead of 11 inches before I created my gathers. And after I was done creating gathers and I fixed it, it came out perfect. So when you are making yours, make sure to go up by up to 13 inches to 15 inches before you create your gathers for it to come out nice, so you not have to be losing and resewing just like me. Okay, this is what you are going to have after you are done sewing. So this is the back. You can see how it came out. Guys, I really suffered. Like, you guys don't know what I went through. But anyways, thank God it came out nice. So just go ahead and tie up your belt like this, and you're going to have it looking like this. Okay. Now the last but not the least thing I'm going to be doing is to hem the down part. You're just going to fold it like this. Then you will hem it round. So just go ahead and hem it round like that. Then after you are done doing that, that will be basically all for this tutorial. Let me know what you think about this video in the comment section, guys. Is it a tutorial you're going to be trying out? Let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. I'll see you all in my next video.